Hey, how's it going? Today we are going to be doing a dividend portfolio update. I'm going to kind of show you what my portfolio is doing, how it's kind of working around with everything going on, as well as, what I'm kind of focusing in on across the board. So without wasting too much time, let's go ahead and jump onto my portfolio here on M1 Finance, which is the platform I personally love using when it comes to building up my dividend portfolio. Now, currently, as of this recording, my actual value on my account is $5,678.26. As of this recording, the market obviously did not do very well. But that's okay, of course, because we are long term, so we're not really worried about what's going on day to day. We're, of course, more so worried about long term with these kind of companies that we're investing in. If I look over for the week, we are down about 4.86%. And then if we look for the month, we're up actually still 4.33%. So doing pretty good with this pretty interesting downturn in the market right now. I actually decided to go ahead and dollar cost average across the board. So I actually have about $500 that's going into my account. Now, if you are kind of familiar with M1 Finance, they do an opportunity where they have your money deposited in the account, and then it kind of goes across the board based off of where your target is for percentages. So if you're not an M1 Finance user, essentially it means I set in place all of my stocks and where I want them to be, and M1 Finance kind of invests depending on how the performance is for that stock and how much I'm putting into the account and where I want it to be. So for me, I love the fact that it does that, especially for a lot of other users. If you're new to investing, it's a great way to kind of just set and forget for the most part. I'm a little bit more hands-on, and sometimes I will do manual buys into the market, especially when there's certain companies that I see in the market that I think can be doing really well for me. So I'm going to just kind of show you what some of my upcoming trades are. I have 29 stocks total, and right now I have 24 buys and one is being excluded. Mostly just kind of as a heads up, it's because it's less than $1 to be able to invest in it, which I need $1 or more for that money to go in. So no worries on that part, because obviously I have right now $500 getting invested into this account, which, by the way, if you are interested in getting started with M1 Finance, it's my favorite investing platform. I will have a link to it down below. You can click on it and sign up. That helps support the channel to continue to provide free content. And the other cool thing is you can also join our Facebook group, where I actually help a lot of other people on their journey with investing, as well as M1 Finance. So you have a great community with other people who are loving and using this platform. So with that being said, if we go back on here, you can see that right now I have a couple pending orders. These are the things that I chose to do, and Realty Income, of course. So right now I actually chose $84 to go into Aflac. I know that's kind of an interesting number, but I wanted to make sure that after that purchase, I'm going to have over 10 shares, because they do fractional shares with M1 Finance. I have $40 going into my real estate overall sector, which is kind of interesting because I also have $8 going into Realty Income, but that's just because of the percentage and where it's set. I also have $30 going into financials, which I just kind of let it distribute across the board in my financial sector, and then $750 going into AT&T, which, by the way, of course, this always comes, as an important part with watching these type of videos. Make sure you do your additional research. My investing strategy should not be your investing strategy, because my risk tolerance can be different than your risk tolerance. So just always something to keep in mind, because it's really important to have your own kind of thoughts and where you want to go with your portfolio. Getting ideas from a lot of different people can help you kind of curate a type of plan that can really work for you. And I think that's a fantastic way to go about it. So you can see here on the actual account that we have, a couple different deposits. We have like VOO going in at 46.05. We're buying into quite a bit of Starbucks, Pepsi, Home Depot, DLR. So a lot of these different companies. Some of them I do make decisions based off of their ex-dividend date and if the price is really worth it for me. And I'll show you what I mean here as an example. So DLR is actually having their ex-dividend date coming up, so I wanted to make sure that I invested some more money in them, so that way that money would go in to the point where I would actually earn extra dividends in the account for the following dividend payout. So I'm kind of trying to be a little strategic when it comes to those kind of things. Not saying that it's an all or nothing kind of take. So if I miss the ex-dividend date, that I'm not going to go ahead and invest anymore. That's not the case, but I, try to be a little strategic in that part, just because it's a little bit more money coming back in my pocket with with that dividend income, and then I can just have that money reinvested. So that's going to be essentially what I'm doing right now, especially with the market the way it is. It's been going up and down a lot, obviously, and the really scary part is for a lot of people is that they're not used to this idea of the market going down. They're usually probably seeing a lot of green, especially if you were investing over the last couple of years. But one thing I like to mention, especially in my M1 Finance group on Facebook, is that we talk about the fact that, buying while things are red can be really mind tricky for you, because we're so used to red being negative, being, stop, like don't go any further, kind of stuff. So we want to really keep in mind that this is a different opportunity for us. I actually mentioned to a group of people where we were talking, and, I said that, hey, if one of your stocks by itself is down and everything else is green, there might be some issues. You might want to look into it, maybe be cautious with dollar cost averaging, which is buying more while the share prices are down. Or, keep in mind that if everything is down altogether, that sometimes that's just a great opportunity to be buying into the market. It's actually almost always a great opportunity depending on who you are and the type of investor you might be. So that's, for me, a really important part of the whole deal, because if you look at the stock market as a whole, every time it's gone down, it's always come back up. And so the way I see it is that if all the stocks are down, if everything is in the negative, like you saw here earlier, if we go into our let's even just go in for the week. So if we go into the week, all of my sectors over here that I personally have made, all of these are in the red, which means everything is down at the exact same time. So for me, that just means, okay, cool, I'm gonna go ahead and just let most of my money flow through and reinvest into everything I already have. Because one, I did the research for them. I believe in these companies. I think they're gonna go the distance for me and what I am trying to accomplish. So might as well go through with it. Now, you saw earlier I did some manual buys, and that's mainly because I also wanted to kind of double down in certain areas that I felt I was going to be able to get more value out of it without having to worry about changing all of my percentages on my account. So there's different ways you can approach it. That's the way I like to approach it. My deposit that's going in for that 500 is way more than my average. But I always tell people to, keep in mind, if you're staying consistent with your investing strategy, if you are constantly going through the process of investing every single week, and then something like this happens, be more inclined to go ahead and take that jump and say, hey, maybe I should start, jumping up a little bit more on my deposits, so that way I can get more value out of it, and then scale back if you wanted to as well, because this is a lot more for me than I typically invest, but I will probably scale back once the market recovers, which is what I did a few weeks prior when everything was kind of getting a little bit more into the green. Then I actually was lowering how much I was putting in every week and not being as aggressive. And then something like this happens, and then I go ahead and go full onto the actual deposits to get as much value as I can. Now here on the actual screen, I'm gonna go and jump over to seekingalpha.com. Now, seekingalpha.com is where I love to get a lot of my information from when it comes to news, when it comes to details about the stocks that I purchase. Anytime I do the stocks that I'm buying for the following month or dividend stocks that I love, this is the website that I personally love to use. Now I'm hungry because that pizza looks delicious. So what I have on Seeking Alpha is a portfolio that I built, which is my M1 Finance portfolio. You can create multiple ones if you have different brokerages. So if I click on my M1, these are all the stocks that I have in my actual account, but I can see them in a different light and with different pieces of information. One of the big ones right now is the 52-week average range. 52-week range. And then you can see where they currently are with this little dot. I'm gonna circle it right here. You can see that's where it is. So for example, Apple right now is really close to their 52-week high. And then a great example would be like Aflac is pretty kind of almost almost to the middle of their 52-week high. Ally is kind of towards the bottom half, and then I don't think I have anything too bad. NRZ, which I know a lot of watchers have NRZ, they're pretty close to their bottom of their 52 weeks. So this gives me some really quick information across the board, and then I can also go into like the dividend section here, and I can see X dividends, I can see payouts. I could even go in and I can even see debts, which I really like too. Gives me some great insight for all the companies that I have. But this is the site I personally like to use. I'm not affiliated with them, but you can always check them out if you want to get some information when it comes to your portfolio. I use that to, again, gauge where I need to kind of shift money around so that way I can get the most value for what I have. Like I mentioned earlier, the ex-dividend date with what was that, DLR, which is Digital Realty Trust. I wanted to put money into them because their ex-dividend date is the following day after, so I wanted to make sure that I had the money in place so that way I got more dividend payout for my money, which is always fantastic, and not have to wait even longer. So that's kind of the route that I'm taking. That's kind of the things that I've been doing with this portfolio. I try to keep you guys updated, at least once a week. I think it'll be the most ideal way for me to share this journey. Of course, this is mainly a dividend focused portfolio, so I'm not really aggressive with a lot of growth stocks, so just kind of something to keep in mind. It's totally cool if you are and you just want to see somebody else with their dividend income and how much they're making, because that's mainly what I focus in on here, and of course kind of diving in a little bit with certain stocks that I already own and what I plan to invest more in as well. Also, if you want to, hit that like button down below because that does help out the video. It really does go a long way. And if you want to keep on watching more when it comes to my investing videos and this journey, check out my next video right over here. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.